Oh my god, people, we are back. It's been a couple of weeks, but we got a ton to break down. We all were in Las Vegas. Myself, Yao, the Jew, Ross, Finkelstein, Alan's brother. We all were in Vegas for International Fight Week to take in both cards, UFC 175 and the Tough 19 finale. We attended both. We'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about our suspicious run-in with Wanderlei Silva, our fun-ass trip to the Bally's LA Comedy Club to see Adam Hunter and a bunch of UFC fighters, and of course the upcoming cards, tomorrow's Cerrone vs. Miller card, and Saturday's McGregor versus Brandao card. I had to think of it there. Let's do this shit. We got a ton to break down.
You're listening to the MMA Podcast.
Thank you so much for the intro, Lenny Hart. We had her on about a year ago. Go check out the interview with her. Pardon me. And of course, the great Eddie Bravo, who gives you our opening song every single episode. Jesus Christ. It is Jiu-Jitsu by the band Smoke Serpent. We also had him on about a year ago. Check out both of those shows. Both of them were a pleasure to talk to. Tonight we have a lot to break down. Like I said in the lead-in, we all were in Vegas, spent 7 days, 6 nights in Vegas. Myself, Yao, and Ross chilled a bunch in Denver too before they flew back to Long Island. It was a fun-ass week. We have a ton of stories to talk about. But, of course, I got to get to your co-host, the host of the Word on the Street podcast, the most infamous man on Twitter. It's Ramses. What the hell's going on, dude? Where do we find you?
When my parents had sex to make me, they did all of you a favor in this world. Because I'm here. And I'm bringing you the word on the street, people. Follow me on Twitter if you want to change your life. If you're tired of being you, a piece of crap. If you want your life to have meaning and purpose. If you want to witness the miracle that is the word on the street, you'll follow me on Twitter. The Aunt Jimmy Show. And that's the bottom line.
Bottom line. 'Cause Stone Cold said so.
Yeah, that is the goddamn bottom line. I was wishing to have Alan, Ross, and Yao on. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it. Hunter too, to break down the trip to Las Vegas. We had a hell of a time. Almost ran out of gas. We happened to drive through, I guess, the longest stretch of interstate in the U.S. without any gas stations or services. And I had a little under a half a tank, and it said next station 130 miles. And I'm thinking, I'm fine. I didn't also think we're going to be going up and down a lot in elevation. So literally, we're probably 20, 30 miles away from the gas station. And I click down to just 0 bars. A Civic, like the fuel gauge, it's not a meter. It's what is the word I'm looking for? It's a digital readout, and it's got like 30 little mini bars for gas. We were down to 0. Ross is freaking out, dude. We're not gonna fucking make it. And to make things worse, I do have AAA, but we didn't have any cell phone service. And we're thinking like, damn, like it is literally about to be dark. Are we gonna find anyone to like call services for us?
So it's like a bad horror movie setup.
Yeah, are we gonna get? Yeah, it was exactly. And I was literally in the backseat laughing his ass off. But we did make it to Salinas. We fueled up, and a giant disaster was averted. We got to Vegas. Actually, the night before Vegas, we stayed in Mesquite, Nevada at the Casablanca Resort. And you know it's a sketchy resort when there are signs in the bathroom saying, if you're using heroin syringes, please call housekeeping to give you a safe container to throw them away. Like, oh, word, all right. And we spent one night there just because Alan and Hunter weren't flying in until Tuesday morning. Got to Vegas Tuesday morning. We could have spent that night in Vegas, but just spent the night an hour out of Vegas to save a little money. And yeah, the five of us all split a room for 6 nights at the Mandalay Bay. You know, a standard two bed, one bath room. Not two bedrooms, but literally two beds. And Alan and Hunter split a bed. Me and Ross alternated on a bed. And Yao, who's a fucking soldier, said, "Yo, I'll just sleep on the fucking floor. I don't care." um, and yeah, literally by the end of the 6 nights, that room smelled like dog shit with dirty clothes. You know, it's like 5 people's dirty clothes for 6 days. That's 30 days of dirty clothes. Used training pads from Alan, Hunter, Ross, and Yao. I didn't really notice it till the final morning. Oh man, Ramses, it was fucking rough. The final morning, like Sunday night, we go, which we will talk about the fight a little later. But Sunday night, to put it bluntly, I witnessed my favorite fighter of all time just get murdered. I was so amped up for the featherweight move for Penn. Penn is my all-time favorite fighter. The fight against Frankie, I thought he fucking had it. And he went out there, got mauled, went out with a very bizarre tiptoe style, which we will touch on later.
He looks like a fool.
Usually I'm a beer man or a whiskey man, but a few days earlier I was in the CVS with Alan, and Alan actually pointed out a fifth of Jägermeister, and I was like, "Yo, if you do a shot of this, will you, should I get it?" And he's like, "Sure." I don't know if he did a shot or not. All I know is I drowned my sorrows in Jägermeister after Penn lost the fight. We actually have someone calling in. Caller, welcome to the MMA Podcast. What's going on? Is anybody there? I do not want to rack you. Going once, going twice. See you later. All right. Call in if you feel like it. But, So I Monday morning I woke up hungover as shit. Like literally slept 4 hours, woke up, immediately puked, which I probably hadn't puked from drinking in like a year and a half since I lived in fucking Chicago. So that was really pleasant to wake up with 3 or 4 hours of sleep, puke my head off, and then have to drive 12 hours back to Denver because Yao and Ross don't have licenses. Which I actually needed to stop in like Utah for like 20 minutes and just like walk around and just be like, okay, like don't pass out, don't wake up. And I made it to Denver with the help of a few Red Bulls. We had a lot of stories from Vegas. The Yao versus Allen rematch, which will be released next week. I can't hammer down the date. All of us have been giving Ross a really hard time because Ross was the one who videoed the fight, and all of us were sort of expecting the fight to be uploaded the day of, sort of like their first fight. But I talked to Ross and found out something I didn't know, which was that his battery was acting really weird. He had charged it the entire night the night before, but the battery wasn't like keeping a charge. So what Ross needed to do was literally start the video over and over and over, and literally there are like dozens, if not hundreds, of fragments of the actual video. So it's gonna take.
Christ.
It's gonna take a little while to sort of piece it all in one and make it look like there's a shit going on. Plus the man is starting college in like a month, so he's getting he can't focus all of his time toward doing that. Yeah, he's gonna be a freshman next year. Little Ross is growing up. Ramses, your son, your bastard son.
He's a disappointment on every level. This college that's not more important than this video, man. A lot of people want to see this fight, this rematch, highly anticipated. He's got to go to college. Get out of here. Makes me
Get the
sick.
fuck out of here. And again, if you do want to call in, we always take calls. I don't know if the caller had a bad connection or cold feet or just heard my annoying voice and decided not to speak. But the phone number is 213-457-3380. Or if you don't feel like talking, just tweet us at the MMA Podcast or Ramsey's at the Aunt Jimmy Show. Or Skype as the MMA Podcast. We will touch on the Kumia thing because Ramses, your namesake, the Aunt Jimmy Show. The Aunt is for Anthony Kumia, and the Jimmy is for Jim
right.
Norton. Sort of a play off the Opie and Anthony Show.
Damn right.
And the Aunt in the Aunt Jimmy Show got fired for what seems like some bullshit. So we'll touch on that in a little bit, but just a couple of Vegas stories, I guess, before we get to breaking down the fights and all that. We saw Wanderlei Silva, which it was a very interesting. All right, so we buy a coffee maker because Ramses isn't coming through at all apparently.
Well, it's probably because I'm not speaking.
Nope. It's the audio. I don't know why. I on it. You're being.
Are you
picked up
saying
on
my
the
gold
recording.
hasn't been coming through?
No, yeah, not yet. On the recording you were, but I don't know what's up with the Ustream. I set it to line 1, but it set it back. It set itself back to just my mic when I started. But you should be coming through now. Thanks to MMA Enthusiast for just tweeting me and letting me know. I don't know. It'll do that.
Wow.
With me every now and then. Fucking Ustream.
I had genius material, man. A lot of people missed out. There?
If they listen back on the Ustream or the iTunes version, they will hear all of the gold. So if you are listening live, that's just another reason to listen to the archive version. Subscribe, iTunes, YouTube. The links are on the top tabs of the MMA Podcast.com. Getting back to the bullshit. We saw Wanderlei Silva, and it was sketchy as fuck. It was like 10. We had to make a late night run to the store, and we pull into the parking lot of the CVS, and we see the Wanderlei Silva Gym SUV, and we pull up sort of close to it, and all of us are looking over, gawking at us, and there's only one person in the vehicle, and it's Wanderlei Silva sitting in the driver's seat, gawking right back at us. Immediately backs out, drives away. Alan runs in. I think he grabbed some coffee filters. Ran back to my car. We're a little curious, so we drive around the back of the building where Wanderlei drove, which led to a different store's parking lot, where we saw the Wanderlei vehicle parked in a dark corner of the parking lot, and Wanderlei wearing like a V-neck black tee and jeans, like pacing back and forth on his phone. This big ass red pickup truck pulls up, Wanderlei jumps in, the truck roars out, and we're like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah,
Alan was losing his shit. Alan jumps out, takes a couple pictures with it, and we're like, what the fuck? Like, did, all of us assumed that he was probably buying steroids from someone, but just really sketchy on our part. Also, I was like joking around about it. And Connor Hune, I love him to death. He's from, I think he's from the Denver or Boulder area. He came on the show, was super nice. But, I tweeted out, like, as it's going on, like, yeah, this is wild, Juan saw us and zipped away and jumped in another car. And out of nowhere, I get a tweet from Connor like, "Oh, what the fuck were you gonna do? Beat him up?" I'm like, "Dude, chill." I wasn't saying anything. I was just saying it was a crazy, thing.
Yeah.
Just playing around. brother, I'm showing zero disrespect. But yeah, that was fun. The week, all in all, was really great. The Mandalay has a really fun wave pool that all of us were swimming around in. It was so fucking funny. Alan, Hunter, and Yao were like all like swimming around, grappling, grabbing, legs and stuff. And Alan like takes Yao's back, and instead of doing anything, just kind of sits there. And we're sitting there for a good solid 8, 9 seconds, and Alan's just hanging off the back of Yao like a little baby monkey. And I'm like, dude, Alan, do you realize how gay this fucking looks? And that fucking moment, he
Pretty
dives
fancy.
off like, they're both super grossed out. But yeah, it was
Man,
it
that's some
was
fancy
really,
shit.
I love the shit out of all four of those other guys, and definitely keep your eyes peeled for that video.
Yeah,
Because
man.
actually, I mean, even if you didn't know Yao or Allen, I can guarantee, A, it was 10 times more exciting than their first fight. B, even if I didn't know either guy, I would say that it was a top-notch fight. I mean, there were a lot of back and forth moments. If you thought either guy was gonna dominate, you're wrong. And that's all I'm gonna say.
Hell yeah.
Um, I'm trying to
Apparently.
think of anything else that went down before. Oh yeah. I wanted to give a huge shout out. If you're not following MMA Roasted or Adam Hunter, it's the same dude. It's I think his personal Twitter is Comedian, and his MMA one is MMA Roasted. But the dude is fucking hilarious. Comped my boys. He was looking out for us, and we actually saw a shitload of fighters. Like we saw Woodley, we saw Cub, we saw Gastelum, we saw Barnett, we saw Forrest, we saw Hughes, we saw Jay Huron, and some of the jokes. I mean, he was not holding back. Like Woodley walks in late, and he goes, hey, we're glad you showed up, unlike you did in that last fight against Rory. And the entire crowd just loses their minds. Yeah, just was ripping on a bunch of fighters there. I think Huron was like 2 or 3 rows in front of Woodley, and Adam's like, yeah, I bet you're like having flashbacks or something. I don't know. He worded it obviously better than me because he's a goddamn pro. But it was really funny. If he's ever in your neck of the fucking woods, he like I've seen a bunch of people say he is hacky, this and that. Yeah, a lot of his jokes can go, the expected route, but his stand up, dude, his crowd work is on fucking point. I've seen a lot of comics. I've seen Burr, I've seen Louis, I've seen Dave Chappelle, I've seen Cosby, I've seen Cook. I've seen a shitload of comics, and Adam Hunter's set was one of the better sets I've fucking seen. He tore the house down. So like for real, I'm not just like BSing because he hooked all of us up. Um, the man is fucking hilarious, and we had a
God
really fun
bless him.
ass time. If you're in Vegas, check out the LA Comedy Club at Bally's. Um, what else? Do I have any more BS to talk about the Vegas trip? I kind of wanted Ross and Alan and Yao to jump out. Oh yeah, of fucking course. Shout out as we left the show, Adam's show, we bumped into two friends of the show, two really nice people, Katie at UFC Gal 4, and her friend
Yeah,
Rebecca.
Katie.
What is she? Rebecca 2829. Katie and her friend were both super nice. UFC Gal 4 and Rebecca 2829. Follow them. Uh, we uh, we
How
all
you
chilled
doing,
in
Katie?
and talked a little bit. Ramses is already making moves, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm just planting seeds, you know. She's a special girl, UFC Gal 4 on Twitter. Very special. Very unique.
Hell yeah! Shout out actually to our boy Kevin Black, who left us a voicemail. And we may as well listen
Oh
to it
yeah.
now. He is Technix88 on
This
Twitter.
is Technics 88. Pick up, motherfucker. I'm gonna screw you bitches on MMA and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You have one chance and one chance only. And tonight is a chance. You snooze, you lose, motherfuckers.
You gotta
Hell yeah,
love
man.
that crazy
Kevin Black,
Scottish
dude.
bastard. He is the best.
No, he
Shout
sounds
out-
Scottish, but he's actually from Jersey.
shout out to Chris, the first guy manning the mic alongside me. Going through a bit of a rough patch, but we hope to have Chris back on soon. Who else? The MMA enthusiast for letting me know that Ramses wasn't coming through. The Mad Samurai AMS. Looks like someone is calling in. Let's add him up. Fuck it. Welcome to the MMA Podcast. What is going on, brother?
Nothing. What's up?
Not much. Anything you wanted to talk about tonight, or
Um,
anything like that?
what's your opinion on Kiriaso getting a title shot?
Carrioso and Mighty Mouse. That
Yeah.
I think today was announced as the co-main for 177. It came out of nowhere, man. His last fight was a split decision win against Louis
Okay,
Smolka,
yeah.
which I think Smolka probably could have won. Ramses, are you coming through? He says it's on hold, but it doesn't say he's on hold on my
Oh.
line. Let me try and re-add him. But what are you thinking about Carrioso versus Mighty Mouse?
I think Mighty Mouse is gonna destroy him, considering that he's beaten only a couple not even ranked flyweights. Like, there's no way he should have gotten the title shot.
Ramses, are
Like,
you still with us? Oops, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I'm back, guys. How you doing, callers? God bless you.
Mighty
Praise
Mouse,
his name.
Carrioso. What do you think, brother?
Yeah, this one it makes sense, but it doesn't. We already know this division is pretty damn thin. It's worn out. It's played out, dude.
Especially,
Yeah, dude. It's like I'm playing EA UFC, the newest video game. I'm playing career mode. Once you get the championship belt, and you fucking beat, Murderers Row, GSP, or this and that, they start recycling the same opponents, and they start giving you no-name, made-up fake characters to play against. That's what this Carrioso fight feels like to me, man. I think it's done. I think they need to fold the division up. Mighty Mouse could, retire. This fight, give me a break. Everybody's hoping. What is this? Like, now every TJ Dillashaw type is going to get his chance now at the belt? It's ridiculous, and I'm not having it. I'm going to protest this fight with all of my heart, and that's the bottom line.
I was talking to the most intelligent Jew businessman in the business, Ross Finkelstein, and I was saying, like, the flyweight and the heavyweight weight classes are just, they have always been so shallow. And I think that sort of matches up to, like, the bell curve of average men's weights. Like at 155 and 170, you will always have just a murderer's row of killers. And I think that's just because naturally more men are going to be born and naturally be that weight, and you just don't have a very big chunk of men who will naturally be either 265 or 125. But as far as Mighty Mouse versus Carrioso has been given two big tests since he moved down to 125, and I believe Moraga and Lineker. That sound right, but he has failed them both. The only wins he has at flyweight are against bums. The UFC just canceled a event. They're probably scrambling to get champions who are healthy on cards as much as possible because you have a lot of injured champions. You have Kane, who is injured. You have Chris, who might need to, rest his knees a little bit. You have Johnny, who's still coming back from surgery on his bicep. You have Pettis, who's not gonna fight until the end of the year. You have Aldo, who just backed out of a fight. I mean, you've got a lot of champs who aren't fighting. So the ones who are fighting, Dillashaw, Rousey, Mighty Mouse, they're making them fight a shitload. Anything else you wanted to chat about before we let you go?
No, I think that's good.
Word. Well, where can we find you on Twitter, brother?
Nick UFC.
Nick UFC?
Yep.
Hell yeah. Follow him at Nick UFC. Nick, thank you for calling in, man.
I'll follow you, dude.
Peace. I think
Nick,
I think he shot me a follow and I followed him back recently. But yeah, give him a follow, people. But I'm thinking about Vegas. Anything else I want to touch on before we talked about the drive there? We went to a Rockies game. That was pretty fun. A couple cold beer for the working man. Oop, he rejoined. I don't know what the fuck happened there, but we just had a fucking blast. The fight was held at Extreme Couture. And as far as the rematch, I know a lot of people want to know what happened, but you're gonna have to wait for the damn video, people.
I have a question.
Yeah.
In Vegas, man, I'm just curious. I'm a follower of fashion. What was Katie wearing?
I think she was wearing just like a UFC tee or something. I don't know. I'm literally the least fashionable person ever, so I have no fucking clue. But yeah, Katie.
I was just wondering,
Ramses. Man. Katie, follow Ramses at the Aunt Jimmy show, and I really think a beautiful relationship could come of that. And she is now thoroughly freaked out. Hell yeah.
Stay out of this, Jake.
Let's get to UFC 175, the prelims, UFC Fight Pass. We saw Team Darkside's own Kevin Casey defeat Bubba Bush via elbows just 61 seconds in. Beautiful win for him. Unfortunately, our other Team Darkside friend, Bamba Guilherme Vasconcelos, lost via unanimous judges' nod to Luke Zacharick. Both of those fights were middleweight fights. Then we went to Fox Sports 1. And it was literally around when the Fox Sports 1 card started. Yao and I weren't planning on going to the card because tickets were $300. By the time, and UFC Gal just tweeted out, "Oh my gosh, ha 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 ha," probably listening to the show.
I hope so. How you doing, Katie?
As the prelims started, the
gonna invite her to church.
What the fuck?
I'm sorry.
The tickets dropped from 300 to 130. So Yao and I jumped on them, went and picked them up. The Fox Sports 1 card went like this: bantamweight fight. George Roop loses in the first round via KO to Rob Font. At middleweight, Bruno Santos defeats Chris Camozzi in a kind of controversial split decision. Camozzi, I believe, has already been slated in a fight against Rafael Natal next. At welterweight, Kenny Robertson defeats Ildemar Alcantara via a very one-sided unanimous nod. And the headliner of the Fox Sports 1 card, Uriah Faber, defeats Alex Caceres in the third round, a minute in, with a rear naked choke. Any thoughts on any of these fights? Faber, we really could see, a Faber Dillashaw match in, the next 8-9 months. It's on the horizon.
Look, I do want to say something about the Bomba fight, because we actually had a Bomba on the Word in the Street podcast a couple weeks ago. It was the I believe it was the only American press and interview he actually did before UFC 175. And language barrier, no problem. I don't see why other people didn't try to interview him as well. He's a very quiet guy. Anyway, what I want to say about his fight is, he was kind of set up. In my mind, in my mind, he did win. And let me tell you, let me make the case for that. This guy, he comes over here. You know, the show's over in Brazil, tough Brazil. And he did lose his fight there, but it was kind of a fluke, according to everything that I'm told. So he gets a second shot in the UFC. He comes from Brazil, just crashes on Chael's couch, just training in a new country in Oregon. Imagine that, going from Brazil to Oregon. He's training. He can't, people are speaking this crazy language around him. He's doing the best he can. He's lonely. He's in a new place. No familiar surroundings. He's training with new people. And so he shows up to this UFC fight basically alone. Because, of course, the person that was supposed to be cornering him, Chael Sonnen, helping him out, was unfortunately fired from the UFC and could not attend the event. So right there, that actually fucked Bomba, I have to say. Chael was like his rock, man. He needed that. He needed that moral boost, that support. It went to a decision. But in my mind, he showed up, stranger in a strange land. He fought, he lasted. He wasn't broken or blasted or torn apart. He did a good job. Hopefully he'll get another shot. He is Bomba.
Bomba. Yeah, and let's move on to the main card, the pay-per-view. Russell Doane defeating a game bantamweight in Marcus Brimage via split decision, but I do agree that Doane won. And let's talk about it. Uriah Hall fighting 15 minutes, sustaining a compound fracture in his toe in the first round. Literally, you saw bones sticking out of his toe. He roughed it out. What a performance by Uriah Hall. Inspirational, not only in the fact that his toe was all fucked up, but when he won. I'm pulling up the quote now. This is the quote by Uriah when he was interviewed by Rogan afterwards. If you're not going after your dreams, you merely exist. You don't want to just exist. You want to do something. Be a part of life. Uriah Hall laying it down. He'll probably get a top 15, 20 middleweight next. What did you think about the gutsy performance by Team Darkside's very own Uriah Hall?
This was a fucking crazy ass fight. Best fight of the night, in my opinion. I am a Uriah Hall fan. Again, I believe we had one of his only interviews before UFC 175. Uriah Hall spoke to us at length. It was a great night. So I am a little biased, but I believe that, he hands down, well, he clearly won the fight. He did enough to win, especially when you take into account his condition. Man, that toe was fucked up. It was blasted, man. So for most people, most fighters, most human beings, it would have all been over. But I had to, as soon as it was over, man, I sent him a message. I said, man, that was the craziest fucking display of belief that I've ever seen in the octagon.
He believed.
He did believe, man. That's exactly what happened. Like, seriously, he came out for round 2 with that toe all busted up, and I was like, oh, Jesus. Then he comes out for round 3. It's even more busted up. It's disgusting what the injury was. It was just... when he came out the third round, dude, I'm telling you, I heard the Believe inspirational theme song start to play. It was impressive. I told him that, and this was minutes after the damn fight. He actually, instead of being in pain, being all morphined up, he actually responded. He said, thanks, man. That's Uriah Hall, man. That's who he is. He is a fighter. Dana White called it a little too prematurely, but Uriah Hall is there, man. He reached, he got it. He finally, it all came together is what I saw in that damn fight. Did he get a spectacular knockout like everybody's expecting him to always do? No. But what we saw, man, it was a fascinating, impressive performance. That fight is rewatchable, and his victory speech was awesome. I'm looking for the damn clip because it was an amazing victory speech, in my opinion. He's inspirational. Uriah Hall is the real. He's back. That's what he proved with this damn fight, man.
God bless you, Uriah Hall. Let's move on. The women's bantamweight championship in the co-main event. Ronda Rousey defeating Alexis Davis in 16 seconds. It didn't take her long at all. Knocked her out on the feet, threw her down, was landing punches. Honestly, the fight probably could have been stopped like 12 seconds in. Rousey just mauls Alexis Davis. Rousey, obviously the huge favorite. To quote a Facebook post by Yao the Truth in Chroma, follow him on Twitter at Yao_the Truth. That's YAO _ the Truth. This is what he said. Tired of the UFC feeding Ronda Rousey soccer moms who take cardio kickboxing and self-defensive jiu-jitsu classes on free time. In other news, Lyoto about to KO this bum Weidman. Hashtag UFC 175. I don't know about the second part, but the first part, you know, Davis is obviously more than a soccer mom who does cardio kickboxing and self-defense jiu-jitsu class, but he does make a point in that there is a huge gap between Ronda Rousey and seemingly every other woman in the world. What do you think about the fight, and what do you think about this gap? Ronda Rousey, I mean, she's had moments like when Liz Carmouche was hanging off of her back, or Misha Tate snuck out of those arm bars. But, other than just moments where she wasn't even really that threatened, she got through it pretty easily. Ronda Rousey has just steamrolled everyone. What did you think about the co-main event at 175?
Ronda Rousey, she is going to be, this is my prediction, she keeps this up, she's going to be sponsored by Vine Video. All right? This fight was 16 seconds long. They love that shit. She promised them a 16-second long fight, and she delivered, man. That's just the word on the street, that there was a little backroom deal going on there. God bless her. They keep throwing... Nothing against, because I've interviewed female fighters, some of them who had children themselves, but I mean, man, you're throwing moms against Ronda Rousey. I mean, holy shit, it's got to be one hell of a mom. And so far, these, well, we're seeing it, man. They're getting the arms broken. They're getting knocked out. Their chests caved in like poor. I don't even remember who the last one was. McMahon. She is the real deal, but at the same time, now you're starting to wonder: is Ronda Rousey that damn good, or is it that the women's division, most of these women fighters just are that bad? And I'm not saying that Alexis Davis and McMahon and Jessica, that they're terrible fighters. I'm just saying they're not on the level of UFC caliber. I don't know.
I think a fight against Cyborg will answer that question.
I think she runs through Cyborg at this point too, man.
I do too.
I saw Cyborg in that Muay Thai fight or whatever. She got her ass handed
by
to her.
Johanna Bars or something.
Yep, and Ronda's quicker. And they're going to be roughly the same weight. I mean, the Cyborg's going to have to drop.
Tested.
Yeah, and Cyborg's going to take a painful weight cut.
Cyborg's next fight is actually going to be at 135, and people are thinking that that's probably a message to Zuffa, who have said on multiple spots, we aren't going to think about signing Cyborg at 35 until we see her fight at 35. And she had said before, like, oh, my doctor said this and that, but now it looks like she will be cutting to 35. And White just signed Holly Holm, which we'll touch on in a little bit. He said he's set on signing Carano. Honestly, I don't know if Holm and Carano could hang in with the top women like Kat or McMahon or Misha or Liz or Kaufman or Davis even. I mean, honestly, like Carano, she might not even be like UFC caliber. Like, we don't know. Holm, yeah, she's crushed a bunch of cans, but she's still sort of known as a boxing crossover. It's not until she gets into UFC fights that she's gonna get past that. So I'm very interested to see, and and I'm also very interested. If the UFC signs Carano, what I think they're probably going to do is give her an immediate title shot, which doesn't make any sense. No, but they know that Rousey versus Carano is a huge payday, and they're going to get a ton of money from those two beautiful women punching one another in the nose. If they give Carano a fight against, say, Sarah McMahon, Carano just gets housed and taken down. Well, you just lost out on your big payday. Because giving someone a title shot after you sign them is a stretch. Giving a title shot after you sign them and they lose a fight, that's just totally not doable. So, I don't know. I'm interested to see if they do it with Holm. If they do sign Gina, I'm almost sure they'll do it, because they would be dumb to miss out on that kind of a payday. But yeah, any other thoughts about the women's division, all that shit?
Yeah, that Carano fight, dude. Let's face it. Like, yeah, people want to see it. I want to see it, but it's a joke fight. I mean, Carano hasn't fought in years. Like, this is going to be a joke.
I mean, they let Nick Diaz skip Johnny Hendricks in line, and I mean, frankly, both of us love Chael Sonnen, but that fight against Jones, he was coming off a loss. Come on, like that.
No, I'm not saying it's bullshit in terms of she doesn't deserve a shot outright. Like, that's fine. But I mean, this fight is going to be a joke, as in, like, this is even worse than the soccer mom. This is a woman that hasn't even fought in years.
Yeah,
like, I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, and I'm being serious, if Ronda kills her.
Oh my god.
I think it's going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Honestly,
I'll be the first one to tweet, told you.
Told you.
As
they wheel a dead Gina Carano out
still
of the
warm.
octagon.
Yep, body will still be warm. Hey, Jake. Would you mind if I played Uriah Hall's victory speech? I have the ability to pipe it in, I believe.
Play that motherfucker.
Okay, just because it was such a good one, it changed my life, people. And if it sounds weird for any reason, just type it in the chat, Jake. But here we go. Uriah Hall's victory speech. After the broken toe, and he kept fighting on and believing. God bless him. Here we go.
Overcame it. You were even throwing kicks with that foot. I mean, how difficult was that? And when you threw those kicks, did you think to yourself right afterwards that was a mistake?
I definitely did, because every movement, I would feel my bone shift in and out of my skin. But you know what? Give it up for Thiago. Came out here, put it on the line. And I just want to say that thank you, everyone. I want to thank my friends and my family for always been supporting me. And I only really have one thing to say. If you're not going after your dreams, guess what? You're merely just exist. That's it. You don't want to just exist. You want to do something. Be a part of life.
Uriah, enjoy this victory, because it truly was very impressive. You overcame an incredible amount of adversity. Congratulations to you. Uriah Hall, ladies and gentlemen.
Uriah Hall, beautiful man, beautiful speech, and we hope we see him matched up against the top middleweight next.
I missed the part that the whole reason I wanted to fucking play it. Jesus. One second, people. He said something before that last part. It's real quick. Hold on. I can do it. Here we go.
Not a problem.
Uriah Hall, people. I'm sorry. This is just the best part.
Uriah Hall, an incredibly impressive display. I don't know how many people here are aware. There was some video we showed on the screen, but you have a broken toe. You broke your toe in the first round really badly. If you can focus on it, the bone is sticking out of it. You came back, you limped to your corner, but when those rounds started, you came out springing around like there was nothing wrong with you. How hard was that to do?
Sorry. It's very hard, man, but, so I was brought up, to face it. If it comes at you, if you're tired, if life knocks you in the face, punches you, take you back down, you get up, and you say, you hit like a bitch. So I had to get back up and say, you hit like a bitch. I had to overcome it, so thank you guys.
There we go.
Hell yeah! I was one of the voices in the crowd going crazy. Man, what an inspirational dude! And we had him on your show, The Word on the street for what, 2.5 hours or something.
Yeah, man. 2 hours, man. It was serious, man. Like, it was real talk, It wasn't like crazy interview. I'm not Ariel Hawaii, people. That's why you have to tune into The Word in the Street. I do a different kind of interview. Well, I'm not gonna bash the guy any more than that. But yeah, check out the Uriah Hall interview. Check out everything, man. The MMA podcast, the Word in the Street podcast. You people are lucky that you're listening to it. We're bringing you gems that you won't find anywhere else in the MMA world, and that's legit, and that's as serious as Struve's heart attack.
And that's the bottom line. Yeah, let's touch on that next. What did you think? The UFC in the sport of MMA dodged a bullet. It was, already a shaky day for mixed martial arts in that earlier in the afternoon on broadcast television on NBC. Justin Gaethje beat the shit out of Nick Newell, which, if you're a real fan of MMA, you know that Nick Newell is a killer, and Nick Newell is not a name to fuck around with. But if you're a casual MMA viewer and you don't know either guy that well, what you just saw is a guy with 2 arms beating the shit out of a guy with 1. And I don't know. I'm a big fan of Gaethje, and honestly, I think both of them are UFC caliber talent. But I was watching the Twitters, and I was seeing a lot of stupid, ignorant stuff. But I don't know. I guess in a sport that's as visceral as mixed martial arts, it's something you're gonna need to go through. But the UFC and MMA dodged a huge bullet when Stefan Struve, luckily he's fine, but he passed out backstage. His heart rate got super elevated. No one knows if it was a panic attack or what, but he had just had a lot of time off for heart problems. I guess like one of the valves in his heart wasn't acting right. So he took a little bit of time off, got it fixed. I mean, the guy is 7 feet tall, and he's fought killers like Junior Dos Santos, Mark Hunt, a bunch of other guys. So Matt Mitrione isn't the toughest guy that he's ever fought. I don't know what's up with his heart, but the reason I say the UFC dodged a bullet, imagine if the guy had passed out in the walkout. Even worse, he'd passed out in the octagon, either before, during, or after the fight. Prayers going out to Struve. I hope he can keep fighting. I don't know if there is a definite, prognosis on his future. The UFC was nice enough to give both of them their show money. Pretty rough. What did you think about the whole Struve situation?
I think this is a red flag warning sign for Mr. Struve, man. It's time to hang him up. I'm sorry. I'm calling it right now. A lot of people are thinking, let's see how it goes. Maybe just a fluke or whatever. I'm sorry. Like we said before, Stefan Struve, even if he is having a panic attack, even if that's what it really was, which I don't believe, even if that's true, if he's having panic attacks, he's had over 30 fights. Like, this isn't new to him. He's a veteran of the damn sport. So this isn't a good sign. All right. Like, I don't see his situation getting better from here on out. This seems like a warning sign went off. It seems like he got lucky. possibly dodged a bullet. You're right, Jake. But yeah, man, if you're passing out before a fight at this professional level and you're not a rookie, there's something obviously wrong, and you got to play it safe, man. It's time to let's let. I mean, a heart condition, and then he's fainting before a fight. Like, what? Do we really need to see him die? Like, before anybody says anything? I'm saying it right now. It's all over. Sorry, Struve. Get healthy, stay healthy, and train people, coach maybe, but get out of the fight game, man. It's all over.
Health and happiness are what's most important. I guess that only leaves us with one more topic on UFC 175, the middleweight championship. Chris Weidman and Lyoto Machida. Weidman winning the fight via unanimous decision, 49-45, 48-47, 49-46. I can see 49-46 and 49-45. I think Weidman won it pretty clearly, 4-1, and one of those rounds could have been a 10-8 for Weidman. Just went out, and a lot of people were still saying Weidman, he's only beaten one killer. He beat the Spider, who, he is the best ever. But it's only one style, and styles make fights. And can he beat other elite guys? And he went out and really dominated. As simple as that. What did you think about the fight? Lyoto coming back in the fourth round, showing some good stuff, but Weidman, roared back, won the fifth round, and won the fight pretty easily.
I'll be real. It was an entertaining fight. It was fun to watch. I enjoyed it, but I do believe that there was probably some sort of gentleman's agreement between the two fighters, Weidman and Machida, to, go the distance, if you will, to take it into the deep rounds. Just gentleman's agreement. Maybe it was maybe it was just unspoken. Who knows? But these guys were not throwing. They weren't throwing with lethal intentions, in my opinion. Also, word on the street is, of course, Weidman was broken apart in pieces by the time he hobbled up to this fight, man. He was injured left and right. And I'm hearing also that Machida also, you didn't see him throwing too many crazy power leg kicks, head kicks. That's because I believe that he did fracture his foot in the last fight against Musashi, and these guys weren't throwing knockout strikes. They were taking it to the deep championship rounds for the crowd. Let's face it, that's what I saw. But it was a good fight, and I believe it was an honest fight. And Chris Weidman scored more points, looked better, dominated, and that's that, man. Nobody tried to kill the other person, though. So, what else can I say about it? Word on the street.
Simple enough. Let's get to the highlights of the post-fight presser before we get to the Tough 19 finale. As always, we'll start with the president, UFC President Dana White.
Attendance tonight was 10,088. We did a $4.4 million gate. The fight of the night. Weidman Machida. Performance of the night. Ronda Rousey and Font. Congratulations. They all won $50,000.
There we go. We caught up with one of the performance of the night winners, Ronda Rousey. Let's hear what she had to say about her fight against Alexis Davis.
How do you get motivation to keep going forward when it seems like there's a pretty clear gap between you and the rest of the division?
It only seems like that because I am so motivated already. And if I stop being motivated, then these fights would probably drag out a lot longer. And I still have a lot of improvements to make still. I want to retire undefeated and be known as one of the greatest of all time. And that takes a lot more work than what I've done so far.
Let's check in with the woman she beat, Alexis Davis.
Who would have thought, well, if anybody knows me and me of all fighters, that it would have been that fast end in the first round. But I'd love to would have seen what would have happened more. Would have went the distance more. Would have loved to see like the ties between the judo and the Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but maybe another time.
Let's also check in with the winner of the main event, middleweight champ Chris Weidman.
This is MMA, so if I just went in there and told myself, all right, I have to get the takedown, I'm losing the fight, I think I'd definitely be in some trouble. So thanks to Ray Longo, I'm definitely confident standing, and kicks were definitely going to be a part of the game, and it kind of sucked that in the first round I hit him with either on his elbow or his knee, checked it really good, and my foot was killing me moving forward. So my kicks definitely slowed down. I wasn't kicking as much. Yeah.
And the man he faced, middleweight Lyoto Machida.
My motivation was very high, but I didn't put focus on the belt. I just put focus in my performance. But maybe today Chris Weidman was better than me, but in the future, one day I would like to fight again with him.
Lyoto, a consummate gentleman. I actually met him at RFA 11. One of the nicest guys ever. I think the last fighter we check in with is the bantamweight Uriah Faber.
What makes you such a successful submission fighter out there?
I think it's, a lot of my setups for submissions are big punches. From way back from Curran, Bowles, Jens Pulver. Those are all set up by big punches, and I'm a guy that looks for the finish. That I remember in wrestling, I wasn't a big pinner, and my last year in college, somebody said, it just has to be a mentality. You have to be looking for that pin. You have to believe in it, and I brought that into the fight game.
Thank you, guys.
Final clip, we check in with Dana.
So much. Everything was a huge success. Tonight was great. Now one more to go. Thank you very much, you guys. Good night.
One more to go indeed. That was the TUF 19 finale, and Dana just segued me right into it. 175 was Saturday night. The TUF 19 finale was Sunday night in the same venue, the Mandalay Bay Event Center. I was fortunate enough to go to both events. For those wondering, the attendance at 175 was just over 10,000. The TUF 19 finale was at 6,500. So obviously a bit of a drop off, but I actually I think I remember hearing Dana during the presser that it was one of the best crowds ever for a TUF finale. I'm just gonna breeze through the entire card. We're gonna talk about the card up to the main event, then talk about the main event. Here we go. Sip a cold beer for the working man, because I'm about to be talking a shitload. Here we go. Robert Drysdale, the jiu-jitsu standout who we've actually had on the show, defeats Keith Barish in the first round via rear naked choke. He's looking good at 205. Sarah Moraes from that women's TUF season defeats Alexis Dufresne via unanimous decision. Going from Fight Pass to the Fox Sports 1 prelims, Patrick Walsh defeats Daniel Spawn via unanimous decision. Adriano Martins defeats Juan Manuel Puig Carrion, I'm not sure how that's pronounced, via first round KO. Leandro Issa, who actually Issa was an upset pick by me, Ross, and Alan, which I won't lie, Ross was the one who talked us into taking him. Tershin could have won the fight, but with maybe a minute left in the third round, Issa cranks in an armbar, wins the fight. Very impressive fight there. Kevin Lee, another guy, we put a little bit of action on, one via split decision, 29-28, 28-29, 30-27. And shit was getting a little crazy because we had this parlay going with Issa Lee. We had Gordon on it. Scoggins got jobbed. In the next fight, Scoggins, who I think most people watching that thought beat Dustin or Ortiz, Scoggins lost a split decision. So if Penn would have beaten Edgar, we would have just been missing that one BS leg of the parlay where we picked Scoggins. He actually won, but he lost the BS split decision. We would have gotten jobbed out of, I think, like $2,000. It was a crazy bet. It was like bet $40. I threw 20 down. Ross and Allen threw 10 down. and it was to make like 2 G's. So as crushed as I was to see Penn lose, if Penn would have won, I would have been so angry that Scoggins got jobbed out of a fight and we got jobbed out of a couple grand. But in a flyweight fight, Dustin Ortiz defeats who I'll let you know now, he'll probably be our next guest. Next week we're aiming to have Justin the Tank Scoggins on. Super nice. I cannot stress, like, we saw him after the fight and he was so friendly and so nice with all of the fans. You honestly would have thought that he won. Really nice. We're going to have him on soon. Derek Lewis defeating Guto Inosanch, I believe it's pronounced, via first round KO at heavyweight. And then we had the 2 tough finales. Eddie Truck Gordon, repping Team Serra-Longo, defeating Diego Lima via first round KO. Corey Anderson, a.k.a. Stuntin' 25-8, which is the most ridiculous nickname ever, defeats Matt Van Buren via TKO, also in about a minute. No, it's a Beastin' 25-8, not Stuntin' 25-8.
What the fuck does that mean?
Beastin' 25-8, because it's one more than 24/7. Get it? That is literally his. It's Beastin' 25-8 because it's one more than 24/7. It's fucking ridiculous. Up to Frankie Edgar versus Penn. Those were all the fights. Any thoughts on any of them? I sort of broke them down as I went along.
Yeah, BJ Penn looked like a fool.
Yeah, let's get to the main event. Frankie Edgar and BJ Penn. Edgar wins the fight in the 3rd round. The 1st round, Penn got dropped and was sort of fighting off his back, and Edgar was sort of dancing around him looking for an entrance. 2nd round, more the same. Penn was fighting on his tippy toes, just had no answers for Frank Edgar. And the 3rd round, it came to a brutal end. And you know what? I'm happy I went because it was the first time I had, seen my favorite fighter fight. I'm glad I got to see him fight, but it was not a pretty final chapter for BJ Penn.
Dude, man, his BJ Penn's performance was perplexing, and there's no other way to put it. It was stupid and foolish. He made a fool of himself. I'm sorry to say about a legend of the damn sport, but what the hell was that? That he didn't even take a stance. That was not even a stance.
The word on the street is that he was trying this stance out in training, and of course none of his boys at his own gym are really going to come at him when he's on his tippy toes, and his trainers didn't really want him to do it, but Penn was convinced that this stance was the answer, no pun intended, to beat the answer, Frankie Edgar.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know.
Nobody had the balls.
A good word. Yeah.
Nobody had the balls to tell him that this was foolhardy in every sense. That nobody, I mean, Jesus, they weren't telling the emperor that he had no clothes on. I didn't even believe what I was watching, except I did, of course, expect something like this, but not as bizarre as this was. I just expected him to quit as usual, like as soon as he got hit in the face. But this guy, man, what was this, just a money grab or something? And then I swear to you, 2 days later, not 48 hours later, his boxing coach was on Ariel Hawaii's podcast, just washing his hands at BJ Penn in this fight, claiming he didn't know nothing about nothing. He just showed up as a favor. They used his name. He ain't even the boxing coach. He don't even know. By the end of the Ariel Hawaii show, he don't even know why he's on anymore because he had nothing to do with it. That's how bad this shit was, man. When your own coach is selling you down the river after the fight, saying I'm not responsible for this man's technique in any way, shape, or form. Humiliation on all levels, and I'm sorry that happened to you, man. I'm sorry. That's, in a way, it's even more of a quote disgrace than the quote disgracing of Chael Sonnen, man. So I feel your pain. I feel you, man. I'm sorry that happened to you.
Yeah, being there, Penn being my favorite fighter, it was rough to watch. But people look at his record and say, oh, he wasn't that fucking good. Look, he only, I'm scrolling down now, his final record 16, 10 and 2. Oh, that fucking sucks. Let's think about it for a second. One of only two guys to hold belts at two different weight classes. And the guys he beat, beating Hughes, beating Gomi when Gomi was the man, beating Serra, beating Uno in his third fight, beating Henzo, beating Pulver when he comes back to the 155-pound class. I don't know. His career ended with his last 7 fights. He had 1 win against Hughes. The first loss where he lost his belt to Frankie, lost to Frankie, beat Hughes, drew to Fitch, then lost to Diaz, Rory, and Frankie. His career, moving up to welterweight was probably not a good move. The first, what really chaps my ass is the first fight against Frankie at 112, he won. Yes, on the record books, it's a loss. He won that fight in Abu Dhabi. I so often think back and wonder, what if that fight was properly given to Penn? Frankie probably doesn't get a rematch, so he beats Frankie, gets another lightweight guy. That really bothers me. Any thoughts before we move on to the news after we listen to the press conference highlights, which, you know what? I'm not going to lie. I have never gotten emotional during a post-fight presser, but seeing my favorite fighter just break down, I teared up a little bit. It was really gut-wrenching, both the fight and seeing Penn after the fight at the press conference.
He literally would have been better off being knocked out in 16 seconds, like Alexis Davis.
Yeah.
It was heart wrenching, and he did this. He did this to the fans. He made us watch this happen. I puked.
Let's get to the post-fight press conference highlights. As always, we start with the man, Dana White.
The largest crowd ever for a tough finale, first of all. We had 6,500 in attendance. The gate was 531,000. Fight of the night was Tershawn and Issa. Performance of the night, Issa. Oh, yeah.
Can I just point out that, he's talking like he's at a fucking funeral. It is the most downtrodden tone. Just listen to Dana's tone here.
Practically
we had
was
6,500 in attendance. The gate was 531,000.
The gate was 531.
Fight
It's
of the
like,
night
man,
was,
it was a sad presser.
Performance of the night.
This is all BJ Penn
Issa.
right here.
Oh yeah, yeah. He won
One person
$100,000.
claps.
Congratulations.
Seriously.
I love it.
One
I love when that
person
happens.
claps. Luke Thomas.
Let's see. What else do I got?
Nothing, man.
Oh yeah. Sorry, Martin's won the other one. Yeah. Fight of the season was
Penn
Spawn
versus Edgar
Matt
3.
Van Buren. They win $25,000 each. Congratulations to them. And then performance of the season. Both of the performance of the seasons go to Diego Lima. So he wins $50,000 for that season. So congratulations to those guys.
And we check in with my favorite fighter ever, BJ Penn.
This is the end. I'm thinking to myself, why did you step back in the octagon after the beating that Roy McDonald gave you? And the reason.
For real, I love Penn because he always tells the fucking truth. I'll play it back, but for real, Penn is never gonna BS you. Yeah, that was just blunt.
I'm thinking to myself, why did you step back in the octagon after the beating that Roy McDonald gave you? And the reason is because I really needed to find out if I didn't do if I didn't make this night happen for myself, I would have always wondered, and I would have always went back and forth and begged Dana to let me get back in. And I guess I needed some closure.
We check in with the victor, Frankie Edgar.
You know, the finish was going on. It was bittersweet. I didn't get up and celebrate like crazy, kind of, because I felt like that was what was going to happen. You know, BJ's will always be mentioned with my name just because we fought 3 times, and you know, I got the title from him, and you know, when I first got into the sport, BJ was the guy, you know, and he did a lot for the lightweight. So I think we all owe BJ a lot.
In the last part, we go back to Penn. He breaks down at the end of this, and this is where I teared up. Just gut-wrenching as fuck.
The biggest regret would have been is if I didn't get in the ring tonight, because I'd always wonder, and I'd always kick myself in the butt, and I'd always complain to Dana and complain to everybody that, man, I could have did it again. And now I know for sure that I can't. My best moment in the UFC, you know, I guess now that I look back, you know, I'm going to have to look at my biggest accomplishment, and, you know, it's the 2 belts in the 2 weight classes, and I really wanted to see if I could make it 3. And my lasting legacy now is just going to be in highlight reels, and, you know, Dana gave me an opportunity to work with the UFC gyms and do different things, so, you know, I can continue to feed myself over, you know.
He's one of the best 155-pounders of all time. He built that weight class. And he was responsible for helping build the UFC. That's his legacy.
And Penn puts his head down to his arms. Just, man, that was really rough.
That was sad shit, man. He cracked another joke about himself, though. Some reporter was, like, asking what the best part of the fight was or something like that. BJ's, like, mishears it or something. He's like, best part of probably when I walked out of the cage.
Wow.
Good to see him still have a sense of humor about himself, though. But
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, like you're right though, man. Honesty, I appreciate that. He was realistic, so it looks like this time he finally gets it. I mean, I don't believe that he'll attempt another comeback again, unless he absolutely, of course, runs out of money.
Eddie Bravo wants him to. Do you see where Eddie's coming from, or not really?
Eddie Bravo, what? He must have been goofing or something, man. He must have been real ripped, man. Like, just trying to put together some way for BJ Penn to come back. You'd have to be stoned out of your mind to even consider that. So outright, I think Eddie was just trolling. But what? No, this is it, man. Even you, BJ Penn's biggest fan here. You have to admit, man. Come on, dude. This is it, man.
I don't want to see him fight again.
You're not gonna let him do it to you again, are you?
No.
Yeah, man.
If he went back, yes, but I hope it doesn't happen.
What if he's like, guess what? I'm cutting to 125, and this time he's serious, dude. It's like, give me a fucking break, BJ. Get out of here.
I say, fuck Mighty Mouse. Penn's your new flyweight champ, baby.
Oh, Christ. They got to close down that division already. All right, I think I said that.
Yo, we broke down 175. We broke down the Tough 19 finale. We're an hour and 15 minutes in, so let's move our asses along and get to the news. Yeah. So, man, if my week wasn't bad enough with Penn losing, my other favorite fighter, Chael Sonnen, he retired from the sport after testing positive for a fertility drug, coming off TRT after Nevada banned it. And news came along a few days after that Chael also tested positive for HGH and EPO. And coming off that news, UFC and Fox Sports axed him from his job with the UFC as a commentator and analyst. I was just talking with you before the show, and what really bugs me about this entire thing was how loyal Chael Sonnen was to the UFC. I actually saw Dana after the TUF finale, and he's signing autographs, and he gets to me, and I don't have anything to sign for him, but I'm like, rehire Chael! And a bunch of people cheered,
Hell yeah,
actually.
man.
And Dana didn't say anything, but he did laugh. This situation really bums me out. I mean, in a way, I'm glad for him because the guy's been so busy. You know, he still has every dollar he made from the UFC, and he's got a baby coming. I think probably early 2015. So this is going to be a nice time to have time with just he and his wife because they're about to have a baby. Shit's about to get crazy. And if, Chael's around to raise the kid while the kid's a baby, that's fucking awesome. So I'm happy for him in that light that he's got a loving dime piece of a wife and he is about to have his first kid. And whether or not the commission wants to fine him, like a $250,000, the man's a millionaire. So Sonnen, man, it's a bittersweet spot. Ramses, I know you've definitely got a strong opinion with this whole situation. Sonnen getting axed. What are your thoughts?
I'll try to keep it brief, people. The outrage is passing, but the anger, there's always going to be some there, man. This was a terrible business decision by Fox and the UFC. I'm sorry, because I live in the real world. Okay, I am realistic. I know what. Look, I've said it about the UFC and these fighters, quote, doping, using PEDs. I said it, man. If you ask me, I believe that 100% of UFC fighters are using something. That's why this matter, Chael Sonnen being fired, that's why it's so ridiculous to me, because I understand the truth. These athletes, they're taking stuff left and right. They are. That's what's happening. I believe it's 100%. Chad Mendez, he went as high as 80% today in an interview. Who else was it? Tim Kennedy. He went as high as 60 to 70% of UFC fighters, in his opinion, being on the juice. I'm saying it's 100% because I'm rounding up from 99%. Okay, so it's 100% of the fighters. So you're gonna, of course, Chael Sonnen, you hate to use the word scapegoat, but he just got busted for. He was at least upfront about it the whole time that he was taking testosterone. We knew that was part of his gimmick. I'm telling you, people, almost. So what they're doing to him is unfair. They changed the rules on his ass, and they're busting him. Fucking preposterous. The firing by Fox. Give me a break. Now the ratings are in the tube. UFC 175 would have done great numbers if it wasn't for this bullshit. I think they only did about 500,000 buys is the estimate. Chael on the card, man. No doubt in anybody's mind. That number would have been significantly higher. This whole thing is disgusting. It's unfair, but Chael's doing well. He's fine. He's got fuck you money. He's got that kind of bankroll going. To where he doesn't have to panic. He ain't gonna be doing, lame ass commercials anytime soon. I don't believe. But yeah, this is a disgrace. Now we're living in the post Chael UFC era, and I don't like it.
In the post Penn era
too.
Yeah. It feels really weird when both of my favorite guys go from being active to not being in the UFC at all. I was like, damn, I guess my favorite active fighter now is Daniel Cormier. Like, fuck. Cormier was number 3 a month ago. Now he's number 1 because one of my fighters just got retired. Another one just got axed from even being an analyst. What the fuck?
It's just, man, you know that the intruder rapists, they raping everybody out here. They're firing everybody out here, man. I don't know what's going on with this world. And they're taking away all the heroes, all the good guys. What the hell did Chelsea really do? Now they're going after him for $250,000, $250,000 after he already left the sport, retired. You're going to persecute this man. And then there's the athletic commission coming out with some statement saying Chael Sonnen must appear before the commission to answer for his blah, 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 blah. He doesn't have to do shit. All right, what are you going to do? He can't be arrested for this. You can fine him, but it's not like he's going to jail or anything. Chael Sonnen must appear. Get the fuck out of here. Leave him alone. He's done. You guys won. Don't make it any uglier than it has to be.
It's a bunch of it's like power hungry people, bureaucrats, whatever the fuck they are. It's fucking gross. We'll move on. Speaking of gross, before we get to the 10 solid seconds of sports, I touched on it, said we'd further expound on it. You are the Aunt Jimmy show, because Aunt and Jimmy are two people off the Opie and Anthony show. Aunt being Anthony Cumia, Jimmy being Jim Norton. And Cumia was recently kicked off the show with his own namesake for, you know what, I I don't even know the whole situation that well. So explain to us what the fuck happened to your boy, Tony Cumia.
Yeah, just real quick. He's been known for having strong beliefs concerning matters of race.
And
okay?
He's a gun nut.
Right. So, I mean, I don't think he's actually, I don't think he hates black people, but he definitely has some beliefs that are race-based.
Whenever you say, I don't think he hates black people, that's never a good sign.
Well, I know he doesn't hate all black people because he was good friends with Patrice O'Neal, of course. He was a co-host on the Opie and Anthony show frequently.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, they were good friends. I mean, he doesn't hate all black people. That's a fact. But yeah, he was just taking pictures in Times Square with his expensive $5,000 camera. You know, people take pictures in Times Square. I mean, tourists, photographers, and he's into this shit. He was out there late at night. He took a picture of a black woman walking down the street. She freaks out, starts punching him in the face because, you know, that seems like a totally reasonable response. She assaults him. He does have an open carry license. He had a gun on him. He didn't pull it. He didn't shoot her. And of course, he gets home and starts venting about it on Twitter, saying there's a problem in the black community with violence and this and that, which I agree with. But he was using terms, you know, he was taking it a little too far, calling them animals and savages. And, you know, of course, he's not talking about all of them. But by the time the media gets a hold of it, he's talking about all of them. So he got fired from his gig. The Opie and Anthony show is no more. It's disbanded. But he is coming out with his own podcast now. Freedom of speech will reign once again. But yep, another unfair firing based on PC bullshit and images and public appearances. It makes me sick, man. These are good guys, good entertainers, but now they're in trouble and fired and shit. I know it's bullshit at least, but I don't know how this keeps happening. And it's only going to get worse. That's it, man. It's disgusting.
That's the bottom line. Pardon me, as easy as that. Yeah, shit, let's do the 10 solid seconds of sports, where we break down all sports, not MMA. Here we go. The Germans win the World Cup after a historical thrashing of the favorite host Germany, or Brazil, 7-1. It's Germany's first World Cup since unification. LeBron James goes back home to Cleveland, turning the NBA on its ears. MLB All-Star Game, who gives a shit? Carmelo stays in New York. Alright, moving on. I don't know. Did you hear the interview with Floyd Mayweather on Ronda Rousey? Oh shit, I thought I had the video here, but all of a sudden it got made private. So why don't you fill us in on? We actually just got a tweet from our boy Chris Lowe, who tweeted the funniest thing about the Kumi issue is Sirius makes money off rap songs that are 100 times more racist and vulgar. I couldn't agree anymore with that statement. Any
Yeah, man,
thoughts on that
none
statement?
of this makes any sense, man. Sorry, I'm taking a swig for the working man. Hold on, I gotta wash it down.
Swig for the working man. I'm pulling up the clip now. Floyd on Ronda Rousey, and apparently he doesn't know who Ronda Rousey is, but he words it pretty hilariously.
You would have fought Khan if he didn't have.
Here, let me skip ahead.
You folks get from here. He still got problems with that guy. So like I said before, everybody is trying to hit the lotto and fight Floyd Mayweather. That's how it is.
How about Ronda Rousey?
I don't even know who he is.
How about Ronda Rousey, who we've heard a lot of stuff in MMA? Oh, could Ronda beat Floyd in an MMA fight? And Floyd, the fucking consummate troll, says Ronda Rousey. I don't know who he is. Obviously, he knows who Ronda Rousey is. But let's play it back and listen to the rest of the interview.
Hit the lotto and fight Floyd Mayweather. That's how it is.
How about Ronda Rousey?
I don't even know who he is.
That's a woman. That was Dana White. Dana White said Ronda Rousey would kick Floyd Mayweather.
I thought you were talking. I didn't know who that is.
So back to Khan real quick. You're saying that.
There goes Floyd. Ramses, do you think he actually knew who Ronda Rousey is, or was he honestly saying, I don't know who he is, Ronda Rousey, what? Like her name is Ronda. It isn't like Ronda is a guy's name.
Yeah, this one's a weird call. I don't know, man, because with Floyd Mayweather, he it wouldn't surprise me if he does exist in his own world, like so much so that he really has never heard of this woman. But I don't know. It's been on ESPN. They're talking about him versus a girl. So it's probably bullshit. But I mean, I think that's as much as he would know, though, that they've just talked about her fighting him on ESPN. That's probably his full extent of it. I doubt if he could. I mean, maybe if he saw her, he'd recognize her. But I don't know, man. Floyd, dude, he's wrapped up in his own shit, dude, too much. So, tough call. And he is I believe he is some sort of pathological liar. So maybe I don't know. What? He's a weirdo.
We'll move on. TJ Dillashaw versus Renan Barão 2 with the rematch booked for the main event of UFC 177 in Sacramento. Straight up, should the rematch have been made? A lot of people are saying that Rafael Assunção should get the next shot. That Dillashaw won convincingly versus Barão the first time, over 5 rounds, finished it in the 5th round. But a lot of other people are saying, well, Barão was someone we were thinking of as a pound-for-pound king. So yeah, he did get dominated, but he deserves another chance. Should the rematch have been made, or should they have paired Dillashaw up with somebody else?
It's fucking ridiculous that an instant rematch on that type of ass whooping that was put on Barão. No, this is too desperate. It was too solid and conclusive of a fight. Yes, there was no flash like knockout domination, but holy shit, like what more do we need to see that we didn't already see? This fight is over. But they got nothing else, man. And I feel sorry for the UFC on this one, dude. I probably won't even watch this fight. Who cares?
Yeah, and I actually was going to bring up the co-main event, but we already spoke about it when the caller Nick called in. We spoke about Mighty Mouse versus Carrioso at the start of the show. Yeah, let's switch gears, get to the fight we're pumped for July 2014. We do it the first show of every month, the fight we're pumped for that month, and we were in Vegas, so even though it's the 16th, this is July's first show. Let's do this shit. The fight I'm pumped for, it's pretty simple. Matt Brown versus Robbie Lawler, a welterweight, likely a title eliminator fight. Man, this is gonna be a brawl. Both of these guys have knockout power. Both of these guys, if you would have told me a few years ago they were gonna be a fight away from a title shot, I'd have told you were crazy. But you've gotta love both guys. Matt Brown, Robbie Lawler. It's going to be a goddamn barn burner at UFC on Fox. That's the fight I'm pumped for. Ramses, what about you?
Yeah. I'm taking a look at these cards, and really, man, there isn't much to pick and choose
You got
from.
Cerrone Miller. You got Cummings versus Gunnar Nelson. You got Rumble versus Little Nog.
I'm interested in the Gunnar Nelson versus Cummings fight, and I also like fucking... the fuck is his name? The Detroit Rockstar or whatever. Darren
Cruikshank.
Yeah, he's fighting Masvidal, I think. That's going to be a damn good fight. But that's it, man. It's looking pretty thin out there, man.
That's
pretty
the goddamn bottom
Max
line.
Holloway, that'll be a good one. But that's next month, actually. Never mind.
Yeah, and Conor McGregor versus Diego Brandao. That'll be pretty fun, even though I think Conor takes it easily. Last bit of news before we get to a fight tip and break down these two cards, Cerrone Miller and McGregor Brandao. Dominic Cruz versus Takeya Mizugaki, UFC 178. Do you think Dominic Cruz, I think most people assume he'll beat Crusher Mizugaki. I think that's his nickname. I know Kawajiri's name is Crusher. I think Mizugaki's his too. Maybe that's a racist assumption. I don't know, but it's going to be Cruz versus Mizugaki, UFC 178. What do you think we see out of Dominic Cruz in his return?
This is going to be a total jobbed out fight. And anytime I get suspicious, anytime I see a Japanese fighter, I'm sorry. This guy's probably going to job the Cruz.
You make a good point, man. Like a lot of times I'll call BS, but yeah, Japanese fighters you do see a lot of the head scratchers there.
Yep, and so basically you're not going to see Mizugaki go after the bum knee. This one's going to be a layup for Cruz. They need some star power back, and they would love Cruz back in there, shake things up. So yeah, he will win this fight hands down. I believe it will be a work. Whether or not Dominic Cruz is aware of this or not, I don't know. So I'm not saying that he's like going to buy off Mizugaki, but I think they're going to work this fight. Look for it. And remember, I had the word on the street.
If you don't listen to the show, you're probably not aware that I vehemently disagree that no fights in the UFC are works. I'm just sort of fucking around there. But, yeah, maybe, I don't know, maybe Ramses was right the entire time.
It is possible that I am just smoking crack and that you are all right. Yeah.
That is my favorite drop of Ramses of all time. And my favorite segment of all time for the MMA podcast is Ramses Fight Tips, where he breaks down whether it's fighting the homeless, whether it's fighting little children, whether it's teaching you how to storm a dojo. He's always breaking it down, and it's time to break it down. Ramses, give us one of your goddamn patented fight tips.
Well, this fight tip tonight isn't something that I developed. It's something that I witnessed earlier today. I saw one of the greatest bum fights of all time. I live in Austin, Texas. Downtown, bum fights are common. It's like, if you're in downtown Austin and you didn't see a bum fight, something was weird then. That's not normal. These bums, there's a lot of them, and they love to fight all the time. So today I saw a bum fight. It was at a local Dairy Queen. I was stopping there to get an Arctic Blast, cherry flavored. And anyway, these two bums are arguing, and you already know. So I just stopped there to watch for a little bit. One of them's a street musician. He's got a guitar. He's just sitting on the ground arguing with this guy who's standing up. This other bum looks like Dave Grohl with AIDS. And they're yelling. And then all of a sudden, the dude that's standing up starts kicking at the street musician. Starts just kicking him. You know, weak, like bum, skinny leg kicks. But, you know, it's on in their world or whatever. And I'm watching, having a good time, sipping my Arctic Blast. And I'm just like, all right, yeah, they're going to throw a couple punches or whatever. You know, usually they just both scare each other. These bums do. And, you know, but no, not this time, man. The musician sitting down on the ground, he got pissed off, and here's the fight tip. He took his instrument, his musical instrument, his guitar, and hit this other fucking guy over the head with it. That was like his livelihood, and he was like, fuck that. Fuck my way of making money and income. I'm gonna bash this shit over this guy's fucking head. And he tried. The guitar didn't like smash or anything crazy like you're thinking. It just felt like a solid body guitar just clobbered somebody on the fucking head or something. It made a terrible sound. The Dave Grohl guy with AIDS, he's disoriented a little bit and he's backing off. He climbs over like this patio little, like a gate. You know, the Dairy Queen has like a little eating area patio. He's trying to get away from this bum, and he just climbs over it and stumbles into the parking lot. And just at that moment, someone's pulling into the parking lot in their car, and they hit this fucking guy. They hit this man pulling into the parking lot. So it wasn't like a full blast or anything like that. But the dude just bounce rolls off the hood of this fucking car. It was the craziest shit I've ever seen. I was laughing my ass off, and I was trying to get to my I wanted to pull out my phone, but it just wasn't. It happened too fast. Otherwise, I would have YouTube gold. And trust me, this shit was funny. It was hilarious. A lot of other people were laughing, but some crazy woman was screaming. But anyway, you gotta use what's available to you. If you're the underdog getting your ass whooped in a fight, take that guitar, bash it over somebody's head. You got a bike, pick the bike up, throw it at your opponent, man. Lose what you got on you. You got to fight, man, and hopefully you'll push the other person and force them into oncoming traffic. And that's the word on the street fight tip. I love it. Shout out to Austin, Texas, and the local Dairy Queen. Word on the street.
Word on the street. That's right. It's another Ramsey's fight tip. You can find all the fight tips on our YouTube channel. Just Google search YouTube, the MMA Podcast. You'll probably find it. If you're not a dumbass, you're fired. Fired. All right, let's move on to UFC Fight Night. Cerrone versus Miller. It's going to be tomorrow night at the Revel Casino in Atlantic City, New Jersey. I'm pumped to see my man Aljamain Sterling do work. But let's break down the whole card, top to bottom. Let's do the prelims and the main card, then the main event. We'll do that for both cards. The prelims: Claudia Gadelha versus Tina Latamaki in the first women's, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the first women's strawweight in UFC history. If not one of the first ones, maybe it happened in Vegas. I was drunk for a good amount of that week, but nonetheless, one of the first strawweight fights we're seeing between a woman a lot of people think could be a strawweight champion in Claudia Gadelha versus Tina Latamaki. That'll be on Fight Pass. And then we switch it up to Fox Sports 1 for the rest of the card, the prelims and the main event. The four Fox Sports 1 prelim card fights will be lightweight Yosdina Cedeno versus Jared Sanders. At bantamweights, Hugo Viana versus the Funkmaster Aljamain Sterling. Women's bantamweight fight between one of the four horsewomen, Jessamine Duke. She'll be taking on Leslie Smith. And at lightweight, Gleison Tebow against another friend of the show, Pat Bam Bam Healy. Healy unfairly a win taken away from him against the winner, or the guy on the main event of this card, and Jim Miller. Healy beat Miller, but the fight was turned to a no contest because he tested positive for marijuana. It wasn't bullshit. Thoughts on any of these 5 fights, Ramses?
Claudia versus Tina with I'm like Floyd
Claudia,
Mayweather, man.
Claudia
I've never heard of
is
these
probably the biggest favorite on the entire card. You don't know about these dudes?
Never heard of them, man. I don't know who these guys are.
Well, personally, Healy, I think, is a little bit of an underdog against T-Bow. I like Healy.
Bam.
Duke is a little bit of an underdog, too. I like her. Sterling, he's an awesome bet. We'll move on to the main card, though. Lucas Martins against Alex.
I'm sorry, I wasn't taking it too seriously. I do have some bets, actually, on the prelims. My one pick, actually, on the prelims is I am a Bam Bam Healy fan ever
Plus
since he smoked that. Yeah, ever since he smoked that $100,000 joint. But on this fight, based on the weigh-ins and what I saw, and keeping it real, I am backing and betting on T-Bow this time. Sorry, Patrick, man, I love you to death. You know I do, man. But I got to make some coin here, man. I got bills to pay. You understand?
What do you think about my boy Aljo at minus 200?
I don't know enough to call that one, man. Nah, man. If I saw him on the weigh-ins today, I didn't see anything impressive, dude. Tell you the truth. That's how I did most of my bet picks this time around. How they looked today on the scale. And dude, it's Sterling, man. I don't know. I didn't see anything impressive, so that's a no bet for me.
Word. Well, in his UFC debut a few months back, he fought in Vegas. Said the climate change really fucked him up. It felt like he had paste in his mouth in the second and third rounds. But he did go up against a very game Cody Gibson. He will be fighting close to home in Atlantic City, and I expect big things out of him. Let's move on to the main card. Lucas Martins against Alex White. Martins is an underdog. White at minus 170. A flyweight fight between John Lineker and Alptekin Ozkilik. Lineker, a pretty big favorite here, minus 265. But I was watching the Intelligent Jews Twitter, and the Jews picking Alptekin Ozkilik, and he's been pretty on the money with a lot of his picks recently. So I wouldn't bet a lot on him, but, throw a little bit on a flyer, see what happens. This is not a betting podcast. We are not responsible for any of your betting losses. A lightweight fight between Justin Salas and Joe Proctor. Proctor, a very slight underdog. Rick Story, a favorite against Leonardo Mafra. And Edson Barbosa, a favorite against Evan Dunham. Story is one of these guys who he is like really the definition of a gatekeeper. People like Gastelum get by him, and Maya get by him, and Cameron get by him. But anyone else you throw his way, Brock Jardine, Quinn, Mulhern, he steamrolls him. The guy's got a win against Johnny Hendricks. Not many people can say that. What do you think about these main card fights?
Yeah, here are my picks based on what I saw in the weigh-ins, man. I got the Ross the Jew. He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about with this Ozkilik beating Lineker. No, I'm sorry. Lineker is going to do this because he didn't have any struggle making weight this time. Right off the bat, he looked better. So I'm going to give this one to him, man. It looks like he had an easier time. That means he's going to be feeling better than we've seen him recently, and that can only be a good thing, man. I'm backing him. There's a reason he's a 3-1 favorite. Sorry to spoil your little Jew wisdom there, Ross. Upload the video. Anyway,
Bastard, son.
Other bets I'm taking. So I'm taking the underdog Mafra against Rick Story, man. I got Mafra in that one, dude. He looked better. He did come in a little underweight, But this guy's lethal, and I don't think he's going to be afraid. He fucked up his first attempt at the UFC. Now he's back. He's a knockout artist, man. I believe he will knock out Rick Story, man, in a horrific fashion. You see what I did there, people? And should I keep going with the main card, or we breaking those down separate?
We're gonna break down Cerrone Miller in a second, but any other one, go ahead.
So yeah, my bet picks for anybody keeping score, I do also have Martins, the underdog, I believe Lucas Martins. I have him in that fight against beating White. So take that one. Trust me, these are the bets you want to make. You want to make Gleason Tebow, you want to make Lineker, Martins, and Mafra. Right there. You can retire just betting $10 on that parlay right there. That one's free, people. Free. I'm a nice guy. Barboza Dunham, I got nothing on that fight. That's a no bet. Too close to call. So it's Proctor
And
versus
that's
South.
the bottom line. Let's get to the main event, Cerrone versus Miller. But before we do that, you know what time it is. It's time to get to the stat of the day.
Stat of the day! Stat of the day! Stat of the day! Stat of the day! Here comes the stat of the day!
Donald Cerrone and Jim Miller are both absolute beasts. Both of them on 3-fight winning streaks. Both of them with a ton of time in the UFC and WEC. Between the two men, you got 15, count them 15 post-fight bonuses.
Stat of the day! Stat of the day! Stat of the day! Stat of the day! Here comes the stat of the day!
And I believe the number is 6 for Miller and 9 for Donald Cerrone, if you like to say his name like Greg Jackson does. Personally, I think Cerrone's got it. You know, he has been on such a roll, just looking so impressive, finishing Dunham, finishing Martins, finishing Edson Barboza. Not that Miller has looked bad. I mean, you know, his last two wins were both first round finishes against Yancey Boy and Fabricio Moise. But that Pat Healy fight is still fresh in my mind. And if Donald Cerrone goes in there, truly at his prime shape, I have him winning easy.
Sorry, man, I have to disagree with you here. I am taking and betting Jim Miller
to
whoop the Cowboys' broke back ass, dude. This is Donald Cerrone. Yeah, he's knocking out finishing fighters, but he's not. But he's fighting Jim Miller tomorrow, people. Jim fucking Miller. Jim Miller actually has a better MMA record. Miller ain't gonna take this guy's bullshit, man. I think he's going to run over Cerrone. I think it's going to be bad. I feel the Cowboy, man, he's just trying to live up to this, I want to fight 4 times a year thing. And now he's going after it. He's trying to do it.
Was that your impression of Donald Cerrone? Holy shit, that was amazing.
Yeah, but now, like, man, he's so eager to live up to that. He's fucking himself. I think there's only so much you could take, man. I think he's stretching himself a little too far, too thin, too many fights, and this is a killer, man. He should have started off with this fight and then moved on to the layups, man. But Jim Miller's gonna take him into some deep waters and drown his ass, man. I believe we are going to witness an embarrassment, and I'm betting on it. Jim Miller, word on the street.
I guess that leaves us with one more card to break down before we bring this godforsaken podcast to a close, and that is McGregor versus Brandao. It's all going to be on UFC Fight Pass Saturday. Give me 1 second. I should have pulled it up before, but I do want to look up what the times will be. All right, the prelims start, if you're on the East Coast, 12:30 p.m. If you're on the West Coast, the prelims start at 9:30 in the morning. So this is going to be an early afternoon card for most people. And then the main card, the 4-fight main card, begins at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. So this is not going to be a nighttime card, people. This is going to be an afternoon card because it's going on at the O2 in Dublin, Ireland. Not the O2 in London. There is an O2 in London and one in Dublin. This is at the one in Dublin. And Conor McGregor is going to be on the main event fight. The crowd's going to be going absolutely nuts. Let's break it down. The prelim card, we got Josh Sampo, who we just had on a couple weeks ago, taking on Patrick Houlihan. A light heavyweight fight between Cody Donovan and Nikita Krylov. A middleweight fight between Team Darkside's own Tor Trong taking on Trevor Smith. A middleweight fight between Cathal Pendred off of the most recent season of Tough. He's going to be taking on Mike King. A flyweight fight between Neil Seary and Phil Harris. A little bit of European action in there, as you'll see on a lot of these fights. And a light heavyweight match between Ilir Latifi and Chris Dempsey. Any thoughts on any of these fights?
I'm pumped for Thor Trong, but that's it.
Trong
guys.
a minus 180 favorite.
Woof.
Yeah, if you're wondering who the favorites are, they're Latifi at minus 195, Seary at minus 175, Pendred at minus 175, Donovan at minus 110, and the MMA Podcast's very own Joshua the Gremlin Sampo coming in at minus 195, the biggest favorite on the prelims, along with Latifi.
God bless him. Thor Trong, man, all the way. That's my only bet.
Hell yeah. Let's move up to the main card. Moving along swiftly. Stormin Norman Park from Tough Smashes. I think he was on Smashes. It was one of the international toughs. Taking on Naoki Kotani. A flyweight fight, which this is probably the most intriguing fight on the card. There's a lot of bad blood, and honestly, in a shallow flyweight division, this fight has a lot like honestly, if anything, man, thinking about it, Pickett versus Uncle Creepy. The winner of this fight is going to be way more marketable than Carriazo. You think there is any chance that if one of these two guys just mows over the other guy and is ready to fight in the next, few weeks, you think Carriazo gets a fortunately timed, knee? I don't know what the UFC is doing now, whether they're doing knee injuries or back injuries. I don't believe in worked fights, but I do believe that there have been some very curiously timed injuries, and that the UFC sort of makes way for a better fight. Say Uncle Creepy storms past Pickett, and he's ready to go. Do you think, they might pass Carriazo a check to, quote-unquote, get injured in training and let Uncle Creepy step up?
I was going to bring this up earlier. That division is so played out. I'm actually surprised they didn't make Ian McCall versus Mighty Mouse 3. It would have sold better. I mean, I'd watch that fight before I'd watch Chris Caruso. Man, it's ridiculous. They should make the Ian McCall trilogy fight. Why not? Who cares? This is all just, like I said, they need to fold this division up and just say, hey, it didn't work. We've embarrassed ourselves. This is BJ Penn status. We're out of here. And open up the 195 division like I've been saying for years. Listen to me, people. God damn it, UFC. I'm trying to help you out here. We're on a trade.
Honestly, talking about Penn, I was saying I always wonder what happened if that first fight against Edgar would have been judged correctly. I always wonder if the first Ian McCall and Mighty Mouse fight was judged correctly. Because if you aren't aware, back early 2012, when they made the flyweight, weight class, they said, all right, we're going to take the 4 best flyweights, Mighty Mouse, Ian McCall, Joseph Benavidez, and an Asian guy. I'm blanking on his name. Yashihiro Urushitani. Benavidez mowed over the Asian fighter, and I think, 11 seconds in the first or second round. And Mighty Mouse and Ian McCall fought in the semifinals in March. And what was ironic as fuck about the fight is it was the first card, the first ever UFC card, where if there was a draw after 3 rounds, they would go to a sudden death 4th round. They'd never, they'd done sudden death rounds on Tough, but never during an actual event. And they fucked up. And it ended up being a majority draw, but then they stopped the fight. They didn't do the 4th round for some reason, even though they had set up the rules for a draw specifically for this tournament, because they didn't want people to be spinning their wheels and waiting around. They didn't want any draws. There should have been a 4th round. There wasn't a 4th round. And if you watch the fight, Mighty Mouse won, the opening part of the fight, and Ian McCall was roaring back. If you watch it, you'll remember the very end of it, of the 3rd round. Ian has Mighty Mouse's back, is pounding away, stops for a second, literally goes, "Ah!" like screams, then goes back to fucking pounding away. If there would have been a 4th round, I mean, all bias aside, you gotta say Ian McCall probably would have won. He had the momentum all the way in his court. There wasn't a 4th round. He got a rematch against Johnson, got his ass handed to him, fought Benavidez next, got his ass handed to him, returned at UFC 163, fought Alarde Santos, won that fight, experienced a really tragic loss of his good friend Shane Del Rosario. But Ian is a favorite against Brad Pickett. There has been a bunch of shit talking, and this is a fight that really interests me. I have Ian winning, actually. Ian by decision. In all likelihood, it's probably going to be Ian by decision, because these guys are tiny and they don't have knockout power. Let's be honest. But I'm not gonna call an Ian 2nd round TKO. What is your thought on Ian McCall versus Brad Pickett?
I gotta agree. I'll give this one to Ian McCall, man. Brad Pickett, all you gotta do is dodge the uppercuts and the hooks, and Ian McCall can do that nicely. He'll counter. He'll take it to him. He's a bigger guy.
Speaking of countering, are you down to get your ass kicked on EA UFC after this podcast, Ramsey?
Yeah, man. I gotta, of course, have a little light dinner. Pour myself maybe a Guinness, perhaps. Cook up some shrimp.
Ooh, I'm allergic to shrimp, but I'm Irish and I love Guinness. My favorite beer, for anyone wondering, Hoegaarden. Hoegaarden or some shit. I love a good Belgian wheat beer. If you don't have the Hoegaarden, I'll settle for a Blue Moon or something. But maybe 30-45 after this ends. How about you pop on PSN? We'll stream it, and you can get your ass kicked.
I accept the challenge.
Oh yeah, it'll be on the same, if you're listening live, this same exact channel, people, and Ramses will probably stream it too. PlayStation Network is weird as fuck. You can't stream both of our voices, so you either can listen to Ramses' feed, my feed, or I think it works out if you literally open both of ours, you can hear both of us talking, and it doesn't sound too horrible. It is fucking ridiculous. Let's get to the co-main event. Gunnar Nelson, huge favorite, -470 against Zach Cummings. I'm going to be rooting Zach Cummings on hard. He's a part of Team Darkside. He is a friend of the show. I've talked to him. I've met him face to face. He is nice as shit. But Gunnar Nelson, boy, that guy is, I mean, honestly, that if you took Gunnar Nelson's grappling and Brandon Thatch's striking, you would have the greatest mixed martial artist of all time. Gunnar's grappling is so fucking amazing. His last fight against Akhmedov was just like literally this textbook fight. I don't know. Gunnar has done nothing to show me that he has any weaknesses. We got a got a tweet here. I'll read it in a second here. The tweet
Yeah.
had heat on it. Cummings
I
versus
got
Nelson.
I got some too.
I think Nelson wins. Fuck the co-main event. Someone just tweeted, "What is sad is how you don't see a difference between artistic license and open bigotry." Hashtag fuck Kumia. Your thoughts?
Whoever this son of a bitch was, he's just misinformed. I'm sorry. Look, there was nothing. The points that he was making, Anthony was after he was assaulted by this black woman. The points he was making were dead on, in my opinion. The language was not. And I'm sorry if you can't get past language because you're offended by words. I can't even argue with you. I won't even engage in discussions with you. What's the point? You're operating like an infant child if words hurt. I'm sorry. Get
Dude,
the fuck out of here. Not just the person who tweeted. I'm talking in general here. Whoever it was, I love you, especially if it was Katie. And that's the word in the street.
Oh, yeah,
Word on the
shout out to
street.
Katie. Word on the street. Yeah, if you're gonna let certain words be these special, if you say this word, it's gonna conjure up
Gotcha.
emotions. Exactly. It's weak as fuck. Let's get back to Nelson versus Cummings. I don't see Cummings winning. I love him to death. I'm gonna be rooting him on, but Gunnar Nelson is a motherfucker.
Yeah, man. He's got murder in his eyes. He looks like a man who's been in the shit. He was too old to be in Nam, but he has that haunted look, man. That 1,000-yard stare, man. And but he's taking on Zach Cummings, man. Team Darkside all the way. Zach Cummings is a beast, and he had a little weight cutting problem, but he solved that in his last fight with the help of Mr. Tyler Minton, his coach, his nutrition coach, a fellow MMA fighter, good friend of mine, good friend of the show. Tyler, shout out, man, helping Zach
What up,
Cummings
Tyler
out.
Minton?
They have a solid team, and I believe that Zach Cummings will pull out this victory, punch Nelson a few times, rock him, take him down, and take him down and be heavy enough to where Gunnar Nelson can't use his expert jiu-jitsu. Zach Cummings has a real chance here. He's an underdog, people. But you know what? I'm going to bet him because I am still, to this day, until the day I die, Team Sonnen. And that is the word I say.
Cummings, if he can keep it standing, that is one thing. If Cummings can keep the fight standing, Gunnar Nelson is in a lot of trouble. Cummings has some heavy fucking hands. And like I said, I'm going to be rooting him on hard. Gunnar Nelson is a motherfucker, but if Cummings can figure out a game plan to keep it standing, not get down to the mat with the black belt superstar Nelson, Gunnar could be in a little bit of trouble. Final thing I guess we got to talk about tonight: Conor McGregor and Diego Brandao. It originally was supposed to be Conor versus Cole Miller. A lot of words were exchanged, especially on the MMA Hour. Which I did an Irish accent, and it was horrible, and you probably don't ever want to hear it again. But Cole backed out with an injury. In steps Diego Brandao. What are your thoughts, McGregor versus Brandao?
What was the quote when you guys heard?
I'm looking it up now. I'm looking it up.
They were in Vegas and sharing the same floor with Conor McGregor. My boys were, and he was having some sort of argument or something with his girlfriend, and he unleashed a pretty good quote just in the voice. It's just funny.
You think I'm going to try to avoid the fight? Cole, please. You're going to be on your back foot from the bell. When we're going to collide, and you're going to collapse, and that's the end of it. July 19th, I'm going to open up this division. I'm going to show what I know. I'm going to show what everyone else knows. I'm the most feared man in this division. Nobody wants a piece. You don't even want the piece. I know you don't want the piece. You spoke my name when the adrenaline was running high. Then the adrenaline came back down and you ran out of the cage. And then all of a sudden you calmed down and you were like, actually, I don't mind him. He's okay. Actually, I understand. You had that post-fight adrenaline. I understand. But unfortunately for you, it has gotten you into deep, deep trouble, Cole.
You needed leprechaun music in the background, man. But that was good, man. You got him. You got his number.
Let me cue up some Irish bagpipe music and do another quote.
Jig music,
Fuck
I
it.
believe it's called. Irish jig.
Hey, we're not trying to get racist here. Come on.
No. It's actually called, dancing a jig.
Bagpipes here. Irish jig music. I'll type it in. Irish jig music. Here we go. Jigs and reels. Irish music. Here we go. Tell me how fast I am. Tell me right now how fast I am. I've got all this speed. You're right. You are correct. Tell me again how fast I am. I love it. I swear to God, it turns me on when you call me this. You think I'm going to try to... Wait, I already said that line.
For fuck's sake.
When this injury happened and I had to sit on the sidelines and watch all of these has-beens and all these rookie takes center stage, I set myself to the easiest goal ever, to come back better than anyone else has ever come back before. Trust me, he's going to feel speed like he has never felt before. I am the fastest in the division. I'm too fast for this man.
Beautiful, man. That's beautiful. That is the spirit, man.
Cole, you're 42, you're balding, nobody gives a shit. A shite. Facebook, mention my name and what have you got? Facebook is what you were on. That's what you were on. You were on Facebook your last fight. You mentioned my name and now you're in the main event. Now, I said before, I want you to thank me right now, this second, and bring Dustin with you. I want Dustin. I want Dustin bad, yeah? I wanted top 10. I don't give a shite about you. I didn't ask for you. I wanted the top 10. You're a schmuck. You're a has-been. You're a nobody.
It's like passionate violin jig music, dude. I love it, man.
So Conor versus Diego. Diego is known for having a quickly depleting gas tank. Diego 22-9. Conor 14-2 as far as the line goes. Conor a huge favorite, almost as much as Gunnar is at minus 450. You gotta be going Conor here, right?
Yes, but I'm also one of these people that thinks he's way too overhyped. But in this one, I believe he'll pull it out. He did just have that fucking layoff with the surgery. But Brandao, man, his record ain't too great. He's basically, 20 wins, 10 losses, something like that. He's losing half of his fights. And McGregor's only lost 2. This is a gimme.
Conor's
it's
on
going
a
to be a hero
10-fight win
fight.
streak. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is Conor's to lose. So, yeah, I will go with him. But for fuck's sake, man, I don't know if he's the real, man. I don't know if he's the real yet. I don't know.
For fuck's sake, you make an excellent point in that a lot of people are saying that Conor is going to threaten for the featherweight belt. And I don't think we're going to see a true test on whether he has the skills to fight for the belt. And I think that's good because he's getting better and better. He's still very young at 26. I don't want the UFC to just throw him, a championship fight. You've got to slowly build up to it. Brandao is a very, very, very winnable fight. This is the most popular fighter in Ireland fighting in Dublin on the main event. Of course, you're going to give him a winnable fight. But as far as who he gets from here, I'm actually pulling up the UFC rankings. Let's see, UFC.com, fighters, rankings, which, by the way, follow the UFC on the YouTubes. That is where we play the post-fight presser. They honestly drop a ton of videos. It is worth subscribing and watching all of it. It's fucking beautiful, people. But currently at the featherweight ranks, you have Connor all the way at 13. To name 1 through 13, you have the champ and Aldo. You have Mendez at 1, who will likely fight the champ next. Then you have Edgar, then Cub Swanson, Lamas, Korean Zombie, Poirier, Guida, Seaver, Lentz, Stevens, Bermudez, Elkins, then McGregor. You gotta assume if he beats Brandao that he probably faces one of the names I just said. What about Lentz? What about Guida? We had heard before he talked about Dustin Poirier. I don't think a fight against Stevens makes sense with Stevens coming off a loss. Dennis Bermudez. What do you think makes the most sense if Connor wins this fight?
It's just too much of a layup fight to even declare that some movement should be made. I mean, honestly, I believe that this division should just be shut down, and these gentlemen should just be told to go home. So who cares what happens next? I gotta say, man, this division, it's just it's a failed experiment. Open up the 195. That's it, man. McGregor, whoever he fights next, is probably gonna be another layup. They're trying to build stars here. So Gregor works out good for him. Not for anybody he's fighting, though. And that's the bottom line.
And that's the bottom line. And we'll end it at that, unless you have anything else to bring up in any other topics.
Do.
What's up?
I got one more thing. It came in on Twitter. It's from C. Lowenstein himself, Mr. Chris Lowe. He tweeted, "Fuck you, dude. Cowboy is awesome. Fun to watch and diverse. Miller is as fun to watch as it is for me to punch my own nuts."
I love Chris. Chris, honestly, if you're listening and you're not following the original co-host of this damn show, all the way back when Ramsey's called in as a damn caller from Austin, Texas, telling us that Big Nog versus Herman was a work, follow my buddy Chris at C. Lowenstein. Lowenstein spelled Lowenstein. Chris is a beautiful human.
Yeah, but let me tell you something, Chris, about Cowboy Cerrone. All right, I'll take it further. I tried not to embarrass the man earlier, but I mean, you tweeted. I mean, you woke the beast, the sleeping giant, so to speak. You brought this on yourself about your hero Cerrone. He is a brokeback. Well, look,
Donald Cerrone is a badass dude.
Last night, Nate Diaz straight up took to Twitter and implied that Donald Cerrone was a queer.
Yeah, I saw that, and it's like, dude, why are you calling out fighters you beat this shit? I can see you calling out, some people. Yeah, this is the tweet. Some people just suck way too much. #UFC dick. ... And they wear cowboy hats. Wear spelled wrong and spelled wrong. Yeah, it's always a head scratcher when a guy's calling out another guy he's beating the shit out of.
Nah, man, he was just dropping knowledge. All right, the implication, Chris, is that Brokeback Cerrone is a fancy boy, that he is queer in some fashion.
Wait. If you're calling him a fancy boy, I gotta cue up the damn music.
I call him out and he covers his mouth like a little fancy boy. I mean, what is that?
They call me fancy boy. You're a love man. Really walking.
Yep, he's a dandy. He's a real fancy boy.
Zigzag on the me. Let's
go.
Yeah, Chris. So Nate Diaz, pretty much, he said that Cowboy Cerrone performs oral sex on the Ultimate Fighting Championship.
Oh my god!
All right, that's queer, man. That's as queer as molasses. And Brokeback Cerrone has not responded. So street rules. Therefore, it's true. And that's the bottom line. We're out street.
Covers his mouth like a little fancy boy. I mean, what is that?
They call me fancy boy. You're a love man. Really walking.
Let's go. Holy shit. Anything else you want to break down before we send this off into the internets?
I'm ready to punch out right now, man.
Let's send this the fuck out and send it out with the music to the greatest mixed martial artist of all time, Stardust. Follow us on Twitter at the MMA Podcast. Visit the MMApodcast.com. You can click the tabs at the top. Follow us on iTunes, YouTube. We appreciate the fuck out of each and every one of you. I literally cannot express how much I love you, the listener. Ramses, where do we find you?
You've got to change your own life. It's got to start now, and all you have to do, I don't care what shape you're in, all you got to do is follow me on Twitter. That's it. Your life is going to improve immediately. I guarantee that. The Aunt Jimmy Show on Twitter. Thank you, Jake, from the MMA Podcast. I am bringing you the word on the street.
I can't guarantee when we'll be back next week, but we will be back next week. And Ramses and I will be fighting each other on EA UFC apparently in like 30-40 minutes. Like I said, we love the shit out of you. Follow us on Twitter at the MMA Podcast, themapodcast.com. Till next week, I love you. We gone!